Welcome to WYCD Wicked, that stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and we have got a fun Friday Peace Talks lined up for you. Welcome to the end of the week, and well done for making it. My word, it's been an eventful one. Starting it off with a suggestion from Wireless Mike. Just about the most creative bit of vetoing I have ever seen. I'm excited for it. Just so you know, if it's your first time at Friday Peace Talks, you can use the link pinned in the comments to share the URL of a piece you think we should watch, and we will watch it and talk about it and give our thoughts. Now, truth be told, I know what the substance of this is already. But I have yet to see the video from Bo of the Fifth Column that Wireless Mike recommended. I'm fascinated to hear what this guy has to say, but let's check it out. Starting off this Friday Peace Talks, we have got a video recommended by Wireless Mike. Thank you very much, Mike. It's Bo of the Fifth Column, talking about one heck of a creative veto. Let's have a look.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again.
Howdy, Bo.
So today we are going to talk about Wisconsin, the governor, and the super veto that the governor in Wisconsin has, and how it was recently used in perhaps one of the funniest ways imaginable.
That's a good way to put it. Funny is a good way to put it. You'll see.
There, the governor has the ability to strike just certain pieces from legislation and move forward with it and sign it. Okay, so Governor Tony Evers up there, he got some legislation. It included a GOP tax cut for the rich, of course. First, he used his super veto to slash the tax cut itself, the total amount. It went from like $3.5 billion down to $175 million. And he vetoed the cuts for like the highest tax brackets.
Now, truth be told, that is the part that personally I think is going to do the most good, because I think it's going to stick, but that's not the funny part.
So the wealthy are not getting the tax cuts that other people are. That in and of itself is humorous. That's a unique use of that power. The other thing he did was far more imaginative. There was a part of it that included, I want to say it was $325 per student per year in schools' ability to get extra revenue, in school funding. And it was, according to legislation, it was set to be used for 2023 to 2024 and 2024 to 2025. Okay, so he slashed out the 2023 to 2024, and then in the 2024 to 25 part, which was written 2024-25, he vetoed the 20 and the hyphen, creating this additional funding until the year 2425. 400 years of increased revenue.
Okay. So being that it's Peace Talks, we're going to listen to all of what Bo has to say about this, but I want to jump in. I love it, first of all. Delighted that he did this. Good work, Evers. Second, I don't think it should stand. I mean, that is clearly not how that power was meant to be used. He has clearly changed too much with his. He's clearly added rather than subtracted with his veto ability. However, why am I glad he did it? This is a good way to force the GOP to do the work of creating fair rules. These are not people, GOP politicians. These are not people who, well, they're not human beings, first of all. Second of all, so they're just not people. But they're also not people who are interested in fairness. So what do if you've got someone that's either going to cut themselves the biggest piece of cake or complain, no matter how carefully you cut the cake, that their piece is too small? Well, you say you can decide who cuts it, but whoever cuts the cake, the other person chooses which piece they get. In other words, you force a situation where they must advocate for fairness at all times. This is the way to handle them. What's going to happen? This is going to go to the Supreme Court. By the time it gets there, it's likely going to be under Democrat control. But that doesn't mean they're going to do the at a Wisconsin level what the GOP Supreme Court is doing at the national level, because Democrats actually have principles. What's probably going to happen is they are going to say Governor Evers cannot do this. But it will then establish that this cannot be used for other similar things. So that if there is a Republican governor in control, they cannot do this kind of chicanery. And make no mistake, they absolutely would. So, look, if it gets through the Supreme Court, well, we discover that these schools are now funded for 400 years. Good. But when it doesn't, then we've established precedent that limits the ability of an insane rule which should have never been there to begin with. On a related note, hopefully this will encourage bipartisan support for changing that ability that the governor has in Wisconsin. Overall, a brilliant move, an excellent move by Evers. I think intentionally lampshading a power he should not have. And he's got some making up to do, so good.
I'm sure that some would suggest that that is an abuse of executive power.
Oh, it is, for sure.
I got to be honest, I'm not even mad. That's impressive. That is fantastic. Obviously, this is going to end up going to court. I am certain Republicans in Wisconsin are not happy about the governor becoming Vanna White up there and just, using certain letters. Now, the interesting part about that is that in the past, there have been rulings against this type of use of veto, even though I cannot imagine one.
I did not know that.
Imaginative. But in August, the Supreme Court up there, it shifts and it becomes a liberal majority.
Yeah, but liberals, despite their various flaws, they have principles. They're not gonna let him do this. I would actually be a little worried if they did. And now that I say that, I'm a little worried that they might. But no, I simply don't think that's going to happen. I do want to say something else that's genius about this, and I don't think there's enough time left in the thing for him to point it out. Oh, yeah, so maybe I'll sit on it. Now, all right. It puts Republicans in the awkward position of having to further defend their monstrous positions. What are they going to be fighting so hard against? Schools being funded. It ends up being, it's going to stretch out. It's going to become something that sticks in the memory because it is repeated over and over and over again, these arguments back and forth. And all Democrats have to do is say, why is it they are fighting so hard to stop schools from being funded? Look at how much they don't want your kids to be educated. Why is that? You gotta ask. It's a very savvy move. It's a shot that was not meant. It's a move that wasn't meant to be a checkmate, but it was meant to be to have to be defended against, and weakening the opponent in the defense. Genius. Now that is genuinely 3D chess, as they say in hack media. Let's see what how Bo puts a bow on it.
So there's a chance that this actually holds.
Doubtful.
But make no mistake about it, there's going to be a pretty lengthy legal fight over this, I'm sure. But definitely some interesting news coming out of Wisconsin. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
You as well, Bo. All right, so recap. What happened in a bill that gave schools funding through 2025? The governor in Wisconsin used the governor's ability to just remove parts, just veto parts of legislation to to veto specific numbers of the date range given, so that it says 2023 through 24 something. So to give an extra 397 years of funding to schools. What is going to happen? Certainly, it is going to be objected to in court by the Wisconsin GOP, at which point, rather interestingly, it should arrive in Wisconsin Supreme Court with a liberal majority. What will be accomplished by this? I gotta even temper Bo's expectations here. The Wisconsin Supreme Court is not going to let this fly. What a court essentially does is determine whether or not something broke the letter or the spirit of a law. If it's very clear what a law is saying you can and cannot do, and you do such malicious compliance that you're technically within the bounds of it on paper, very often a court will say, you know what you did, and what you did was wrong. Quoting my middle school vice principal there. So that is what I expect out of the court. But that, I don't think, was the goal. I don't think Governor, Evers? I don't think the governor in Wisconsin truly thought that was going to be the thing gained by doing this. What is going to be gained? Republicans are going to have to get up and do the work themselves and spend the money to fight in court fixing a law that, by the way, they themselves created. An unfair law which should not be. They're going to have to undo it because Democrats finally are learning to hit them, to pick up the javelins that were thrown at them and throw them right back. To hit them with their own, what do you call it? Stones, I guess. Good. And it puts Republicans in the awkward position of having to restate what they're all about. Remember that there are Republican voters who have been told what Republican policy is, who have said, I don't believe that. You're lying to me. I heard a commentator on YouTube talking about that recently. I've had that happen in person in just local news interviews. And if it was happening in my neck of the woods, my little sliver of this country, then it was most likely happening all over. And that's not a surprise, because Republicans go out of their way to paint a different picture of what they're all about than is true. So and Democrats historically have just let them get away with it. And they've sort of tapped their noses and been like, "Oh, but the voters will understand that we're here being mature." Finally, Democrats are waking up to reality, and finally, they're being smart, and they are forcing the GOP to own what they're all about. So the GOP, what are they going to have to complain about with these cuts? The rich, and only the rich, aren't getting tax cuts. And school children are getting funding. Good job, Wisconsin governor, for lampshading what Republicans are all about and forcing them to do it themselves. Brilliant move. Dawned on me, hey, as long as this is for public schools, I totally support the 400 years. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I will be nervous if the Wisconsin Supreme Court allows this for a lot of reasons. but not because of the actual function of the new law that just got signed. That's fine. I would be nervous, though, because it's obviously not the way the law was meant to be interpreted. That is obviously an overreach. But, even as I say that, I suppose the Wisconsin Supreme Court could say, this is what the law says. Here it has been used in the past to do X, Y, and Z. There is nothing in our ability to stop this from going through. It stands. And if you want to change it, you've got to change the law, lawmakers. And I bet you're going to have bipartisan support from Republicans and Democrats to change that law. Because you don't get to be the governor of the state if you're a dummy. This was definitely a political stunt, and it was a damn good one. So I guess it can be nothing but good. And I suppose the best case scenario would be school funding for 400 years and then changing the law. But I also don't want, I really don't want the Wisconsin, I don't want Janet Protasiewicz to get her first big major ruling in the headlines being something that is dishonest. Wireless mic, it's brilliant on so many levels. Totally agree. The only problem I see with it is that it doesn't address the funding keeping up with future inflation over 400 years. Yeah, absolutely. But then, in theory, if it stuck around, then you would have bills in the future saying, oh, we've got to, now that this is a normal part of life, we've got to up this funding. We got to keep up with inflation. Wireless Mike, he's sending a message and forcing the GOP to show their hand along with the cards they have hidden under their sleeves. Yes, indeed, sir. He's showing what Dems should be doing all of the time. That is so true. The anti-corporatist, not only do I not drink, I didn't have time to stop. By the way, I bet the new liberal majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court may well let it stand. Interesting. I'll put you down on that. It'll be a gentleman's bet. If they let it stand and I'm wrong, you win the gentleman. Ooh. I think this is Midas Touch. Yeah. Wicked Foxy Dragon sent us a suggestion. Remember, folks, if you're interested in sharing a clip for us to watch, drop it in the pinned comment. Click on that link; it'll take you to a Google sheet where you can paste a URL, and we'll look at it. We'll watch it on the stream together. Yeah, it is Midas Touch. All right. Well, now you've got me curious, Foxy. Let me set up the recording here. But I can't remember this guy's name. He'll introduce himself. Anyway, it's a fellow who's always got interesting stuff on Midas Touch. Got a suggestion from Wicked Foxy Dragon. Thank you, Foxy, on this Friday Peace Talks. Midas Touch. And one of their contributors is talking about a message from a voter in a deep red state, which they say has gone mega viral. I'm intrigued.
Now I know this one's going to rub a whole lot of people the wrong way, but I really don't care. I'm going to say it anyway. Not electing Hillary Clinton in 2016 will go down as one of the biggest mistakes in our nation's history. I don't give.
Oh, God. I cannot tell you how sick it makes me to admit that that is true. Oh, okay. I mean, he's right. It's like saying you really should have amputated the arm because now you got to amputate that and both your legs. The infection spread. Like, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's just not pretty. Ugh.
Give a shit what you think of Hillary Clinton. I don't care if you love her or hate her.
Fair.
I don't care if you love the Democratic Party or you hate the Democratic Party.
Fair.
The Supreme Court justices that was nominated under Donald Trump would not have been nominated under Hillary Clinton.
He's, for a number of reasons, he was right, but that alone, yeah, he's dead on. Good suggestion, Foxy. This guy's got he's spitting facts.
And the bullshit that we see coming out of the Supreme Court today would not be.
And if those aviators aren't lying, the man's got a solid grill set up as well.
Happening had she took office in 2016. I don't give a rat's ass about Donald Trump's policy. I don't give a rat's ass about his mean tweets. His presidency set us back 100 years. And there's a whole lot of people out there celebrating. Oh, look, we got it. We won something. You didn't win shit. All you did was trample on fellow Americans' rights, stuff that would have never affected you or bothered you in the least. That's why
100% true. Except, I do give a shit about his policy. His policy also set us back significantly. However, I realize who he's addressing here. And without having any understanding of what policy they're actually talking about, without being able to name a specific policy or describe what it does, a lot of Trump voters will say the thing they liked about him was the policy he supports, without realizing that it was deregulation for banks, deregulation for various industries, increasing tariffs that American citizens have to pay for foreign products. So they don't know what tariffs are. They think the other countries are paying for them, but they're not. It's just higher taxes on American citizens. And, of course, giving tax cuts to the rich. Those were his policies. But I get what he's saying. All right, let's let him go.
I call bullshit on this whole idea that you want smaller government and don't tread on me. That's why I always call that bullshit flag out for the bullshit flag that it is. You don't give a rat's ass if the flag is trampling all over other people. If you disagree with their lifestyle or you disagree with where they come from, you're perfectly okay with your government just walking all over top of those people. You'll sit back here on 4th of July weekend and you'll brag about being free. Meanwhile, there's a shit ton of Americans that don't feel quite as free today. And if they're...
This is such a good point. I think we should, when given the opportunity, confront these folks on that. If somebody is out there preaching hate, but they've got a "Don't Tread on Me" bumper sticker or shirt or whatever, point it out. Be like, so it's fine to trample on other Americans. You literally mean don't tread on just me personally because you're a snake. Because you'll bite someone because you got poison in you. You don't mean don't tread on people. You just mean don't tread on the snakes, I guess. That is an excellent point this man has made.
They're not free, they ain't none of us free. What is it y'all love to say to us? Well, if they could do it to Trump, they could do it to you. That works both ways, Scooter.
Boom.
If they can do this to your fellow Americans, they can do it to you. But actually, they don't have to do it to you because they've already got you. They've already duped you into voting for them. They've already duped you into chasing that carrot by dangling all these stupid-ass culture wars under your nose. And you'll sit there and follow it to hell and back while your pensions drift away, while everything you ever invested drifts away, while your whole future crumbles. You'll be sitting over here going, yeah, hell, go woke, go broke.
Boom.
Or whatever
Got 'em.
fucking cliche they taught you to say yesterday.
Got him.
It's bullshit. And I'll sit here and call it out till the end of time. Now, a whole lot of people told us back in 2016 when Trump was elected, hey, just relax. Maybe it won't be as bad as you think it's going to be. But we all knew exactly how bad it was going to be because we saw through Donald Trump back then, and so did Hillary Clinton. Take a look at this clip and watch how spot on she is
all right.
describing Donald Trump and how things are going to pan out.
You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the Wisconsin primary. He said the Republican primary was rigged against him. Then Trump University gets sued for fraud and racketeering. He claims the court system and the federal judge is rigged against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against him.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks. And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
Even he's nodding. It is troubling. Yeah, I'm a real disaster. I probably shouldn't have this job. I think it it might have been Woodward's book, Fear, that was talking about Donald Trump leading up to inauguration. And no, not even that. It was election night. Horrified that he was winning. As scared as the rest of us. As aware as the rest of us that he should not have the job. I don't think he was running to win. But truth be told, if you want to know why I get so angry at Merrick Garland and the entirety of the U.S. Department of Justice, this is why. We are being gaslit that this has to be a complicated thing to investigate. It's really not. What she just said was a fully accurate breakdown in 2015, for God's sake. In 2015. All the times he said it was rigged. Every time he loses, that's what he says. Like a particularly shitty kid. That's what he says. But we refused to hold him to account. We let him go on being a tyrant. We had too many Republicans in Congress to throw him out of office. He ought to have been impeached, first of all, more than the 2 times he was. He ought to have been impeached a dozen times. And there shouldn't have been any question about whether or not people will vote for the impeachment. This truly should not have happened. A hell of a lot of the safeties that were built in to the United States government failed. They failed with corrupt Republicans and weak Democrats. And we cannot let this happen again.
Okay. No, that is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. And that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a general election.
So if there ever was a championship in the I told you so department, Hillary Clinton would be the undisputed champion. because she called it spot on exactly how it would happen. A whole lot of people back then said, oh, just give Donald Trump a chance. Maybe it might not be so bad. But we all saw through Donald Trump a long time ago, just like Hillary Clinton did. We saw the type of campaign that he ran. We came from an era where when Howard Dean simply screamed at a rally, people said he was unfit and unstable to be president. We came from an era where George H.W. Bush just simply looked at his watch a couple of times during the Clinton debates and pretty much lost that election to Bill Clinton. We came from an era where Dan Quayle was mocked relentlessly for not being able to spell potato. And then we saw Donald Trump come along and get away with mocking prisoners of war. We heard what he said about John McCain. Did we agree with John McCain's politics? No, but we respected John McCain's service to our country. We respected the fact that he was captured and he was tortured. And Donald Trump sits back and says, oh, well, I like prisoners that didn't get caught. And I thought, oh, this will do it. Oh, these patriotic Republicans, they'll all come down on his head now. Nope. They all jumped on board and insulted McCain further. And I'm going, wait a minute, I thought we had respect for veterans. What are y'all doing? We saw Donald Trump brag about grabbing women by the pussy. And I thought, oh, the evangelicals, they'll hang him for this one. They'll never let him get by with that. He'll never be able to disrespect women that way, and the evangelicals go for it. Nope, they stayed quiet.
Okay, let's reflect on why that was, though, because I think now we know. It was because we had seen all of these silly little things before that didn't matter. Disqualify people. All these things. He couldn't spell potato. Well, okay, that's a little embarrassing, but does that really speak to somebody's character? We have autocorrect now. People don't really, it's not exactly a mortal sin to misspell a word. I've misspelled titles of streams, which I do professionally, multiple times. Sitting in the tank and looking awkward, yeah, it's just somebody looking like a dork. Somebody being a bit rude on the debate stage, checking their watch. None of that was substance. None of that was actually what their presidency was going to be all about. Howard Dean hollered. I don't think people were aware, or the average voter was conscious of these individual things at the time. But I do think we all had a sense that that was the sort of thing that used to get you disqualified. And we were sick of the way leadership was in the United States. We were sick of the way we were being governed. Barack Obama promised change. That was his slogan. Just change. Because that's what America wanted. Wildly popular in the polls. He was wildly popular and wildly unpopular. I wonder why. Hillary Clinton represented more of the same. He's right. More of the same would have been better than what we got, without a doubt. We have to understand what happened. We have to be conscious of that. And we have to know that the new Democrats, the Democrats of this era that we are entering into right now, hell, that we're building right now, the Democrats of this era have got to walk the walk. They cannot just talk the talk, because we'll get another Trump. We're going to have to work hard to earn the rest of Biden's presidency. But if he gets the House, first of all, he needs to get the House, Senate, and White House. Obviously the White House. But he needs to also get the House and Senate in 24. Because he needs the opportunity to actually do something for the American people. Because right now we just look like it's back to stabilizing. And another coalition will try to break what we have in another way. And people will pour over it like it's some new phenomenon. But it's just going to be the same thing. The hopeful version of it was tried with Obama. And it's going to be based off just vibes. Obama seemed like he would be positive change, but he failed to deliver. So then we got destruction, which is what Trump promised. Destruction. Guaranteed change then, for sure. So, we're going to have to make sure he has the ability to actually perform for the American people. And then we're going to have to pressure him. Otherwise, once again, the American people are going to look for a drastic option. Let's see how this man brings it home.
Why? Because Donald Trump was willing to push their agenda. And because Donald Trump had empowered all this, y'all thought that racism was getting better. At least I did. I thought, well, we're making progress. Things are getting better. We've elected the first black president. So things have to be getting better. We have to be turning some kind of corner. No, we weren't. Because over here was all these people sitting here with all those feelings bubbling.
True. It's more than just that he was the first, Obama was the first black president, though. It's that we had our first black president, and there wasn't a big... I don't blame Barack Obama for thinking that he had to be more of a custodian than a leader, because he didn't want to spoil it for the next black president. At least that's the impression that I get. He didn't want to shake things up all that much. He tried to give us something with the Affordable Care Act, but at the same time, he let it get butchered. And he didn't fight particularly hard for Supreme Court nominations. So it wasn't just that it was a black president. It's that the only thing as a white person in modern America.
Like, I ain't voting. There was a whole lot of people voted third party. Look, I was a Bernie bro. I was upset that Bernie didn't get the nomination. But I saw what was at hand. And I remember Hillary saying this too. I remember saying a Republican president could stack the Supreme Court. And that's where everything happens, folks. That's why when all these things are happening today and we're upset about it, that's why. Hillary tried to warn us. You don't have to like her politics. You don't have to like the Democrats' politics. But if you care about your fellow Americans and their rights, you're watching them be stripped away on a daily basis. And like I said earlier, if it could happen to them, it can happen to you too. But at the end of the day, they've got you. They've got you playing into their culture wars, and you don't see what's important.
Didn't mean to cut him off at the very end there, but there was like 5 more seconds. I thought it was a plug. Anyway, mostly agreed. Although I must say, I wonder, what if Hillary would have eked out a victory? Who would be president right now? Hillary? We are not able to pretend like everything is fine, like everything is good, just because it's bearable. Bad guys are going to keep pushing us. They're going to keep pushing us until we fall off a cliff. I think he's right. The worst mistake in voting history might have been not electing Hillary in 2016. Ugh, that's a bad taste in my mouth. Or in 2015, I guess I should say. But at the very least, it looks like we just might survive this, and hopefully we will have learned something. Hopefully we will have learned that it's time to perform for the American people. Ooh. I've got a bad connection tonight, says Christy Zilkowski. Catch you tomorrow. Okay, I honestly thought it was on my end. It could be, yes, radical centrist. Could it be Jake's connection? This is the only issue I've had today. I do think it's my connection, as a matter of fact. I'm going to wrap this early because of the red blinking light that tells me it's a weak connection, and hopefully get this sorted out by tomorrow. But thank you very much for joining me tonight on this Friday Peace Talks. Tomorrow is a salty Saturday, and we're going to be talking about the rapid descent of Anna Kasparian. Real sad to see, and I'm real salty about it. But fortunately, that gal that we've featured on the show before has been pretty damn salty herself about it, and I'd like to think her handle is Olorinati, but that's not her name. I think it's Olemi. I can't say it correctly, and according to her, that means I shouldn't criticize her, so I won't. She was hilarious. She was salty. She's got a wonderful take. We're going to look at that tomorrow on Salty Saturday at 9 p.m. Thank you for joining Eastern. And thank you for joining me tonight. This has been, I hope you can still hear me. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake.